A few years ago, Nissan introduced the subcompact Kicks crossovers. This was designed to replace the Versa in Nissan's North American lineup. Now, with its very low starting price, diminutive size, and standard equipment feature list, it quickly grew to become one of Nissan's best sellers, with the company moving almost 60,000 units every year in America since it came out back in 2018. Now, for 2021, Nissan is giving the Kicks a pretty significant refresh with new styling, front and rear, some new features, and additional tech stuff that comes standard on the inside. So if you guys are looking for an affordable sub $20,000 subcompact SUV, how does the refreshed 2022 Kicks stack up? Stay tuned to find out. Now, before we get started with the walk around, I do want to point out that this model here is the fully loaded SR with the premium package, which has a total as tested price of just over $26,000, but you can get this car starting at under $20,000 for the base S. But let's walk around the refreshed Kicks so I can show you guys some of the styling changes that Nissan has made for 2021. Now, right off the bat, as we approach the front fascia of the redesigned Kicks, you can easily tell that Nissan has grafted their latest design language on this new vehicle. You can see their V-Motion snout at the front is much larger this year with additional chrome pieces. This electric blue exterior color, I believe, is also new. And the fully loaded SR trim is the one you want if you guys want full LED headlights. And now this was unexpected because, check this out, guys, this trim has LED turn signals, LED low and high beams, and LED fog lights down here at the lower fascia. Now, I also do want to point out that you have to go for the SR trim to get the LED headlights. Every other trim, the S and the SV trim, have halogen headlights, which definitely cheapen the look. This has a much more modern and premium look, especially with the chrome and the black V-Motion grille with the LEDs. It's actually a pretty decent looking crossover from the front fascia. Now, looking around the side profile, you can see this is a small Nissan Versa hatch replacement, although it does sit up taller than a Versa hatch. Nissan says you get 7 inches of ground clearance, and it also promises that higher seating position that buyers like with SUVs. And my tester here for $250 has the electric blue with that two-tone black roof combination, which definitely gives it a much more aggressive look. Now, my tester also has these new black finish wheels for $500. You can see they're wrapped in 205/55 R17 tires. The Kicks continues to only be offered with front-wheel drive. You do have some of that plastic cladding to try to give it more of an SUV look. And this vehicle is definitely small. At 169 inches long, this is about 1.5 feet shorter than something like the Nissan Rogue. Even the Rogue Sport is larger than this vehicle. You can see here, my tester also has an appearance package that adds these roof rail crossbars to the actual integrated roof rails that are on the roof, which definitely give it a more outdoorsy urban environment. It looks good with the two-tone. And then you can see over at the back, the SV and SR trims now get rear disc brakes. The base S continues to have drum brakes at the rear, and all Kicks continue to have a semi-independent torsion beam rear suspension, which again is less sophisticated and slightly cheaper. Now, looking at the rear, you can see Nissan also updated the design. There are some LED combination taillight modules, but you can see the turn signal is still incandescent. There's a new red area here that connects the two taillight modules together, although that does not light up. You can see there's an SR and Kicks badge at the back. And then part of that appearance package also includes this really sad looking chrome exhaust tip, which on a vehicle with only 122 horsepower, I basically want to say, why bother, Nissan? Now, the one thing that surprised me is this car does have parking sensors in the rear, and it also has a full 360 camera that's standard on the premium package, or the SR trim, which really kind of surprised me. Opening up the cargo area, Nissan still does not offer a power liftgate, but you do have decent cargo space, about 25 cubic feet of space with the second row seat up. If you fold down that back seat, Nissan says it expands it to about 32 cubic feet, which is definitely not a lot. Underneath here, you can see at least there is a temporary spare tire, so you don't have to deal with a fix-a-flat kit. So let's move on to the interior of the refreshed Kicks. You can see here is the key fob for the vehicle. This is Nissan's old and current key fob. At least it includes features like remote start from the fob, which is kind of unexpected in a vehicle in this segment, which is kind of nice. I mean, the fob itself is old, but at least it's a good size. It fits in your pocket or your purse pretty nicely. Now, my tester here with the electric blue has this really nice looking charcoal two-tone interior. This is the company's Primatex, which is like a which is a faux leather material. You can see I meant to say Bose for the 8-speaker stereo that also is included with the premium package. This fake leather Does look pretty good with the orange stitching. You get basically 4-way manual or 6-way manual driver's seat over here. No power seats are available, and the seats are actually heated in the front, and you also get a heated steering wheel. That's part of that premium package that I mentioned earlier. The door panel materials, you can see scratchy hard touch plastic, but it is soft touch right here where your elbows would rest, and then you have one touch up down windows for the front but not for the rear. Typical Nissan controls here, which are a little bit older compared to some of their newest products. Now getting inside, you can see the step-in also is a little bit lower actually than I expected. I mean, it has 7 inches of ground clearance, but I still feel like I'm kind of getting into a hatchback as opposed to an SUV. When I shut the door sounds a little tinny for me, not my favorite sound, but at least the interior design still is relatively appealing and I guess kind of modern. Nissan definitely improved the tech in this vehicle. The start-stop button for the engine is right here by the shifter. You can see when you start it up, there's like a half 7-inch digital display and an analog display. There's an 8-inch Nissan Connect head unit here, which includes Android Auto and CarPlay. That's now standard this year, although it is not wireless. You still have to plug in your phone from the connection there. A 7-inch display is standard on the baser trims, which still has CarPlay and Android Auto. Now, this is a very inexpensive car, so my expectations are low in terms of materials, but I do like how they put the Primatex soft material here with the genuine stitching on the dash with the orange. That's kind of nice and unexpected. This area here is hard touch plastic, which I expected that. The air vents, you can see, pretty typical. They are circular design on the outer edges. An interesting design here. I found that they didn't blow enough air my way when I was trying to use the air conditioning on a warmer day. For me, the steering wheel is their D-cut flat bottom wheel with a leather wrapped function. That's included, of course, on this SR trim. It is a heated wheel. From this little button here, you can see there's a lot of empty buttons here where Nissan doesn't offer a lot of features here in America. So that kind of annoys me because it reminds me that this is an inexpensive car. The steering wheel is a manual tilt and telescoping, which offers a kind of a limited range of adjustability. I found myself having some trouble getting comfortable in this car, so kind of try the seats out on your own, see if they work for you. You can see here's the head unit with the CarPlay. It's relatively snappy and responsive. Going back to the Nissan system, you can see this is their Nissan Connect head unit. It's not the newest system that I've seen in like the Pathfinder, for example, which offers wireless CarPlay, but it is relatively easy to use. It doesn't offer embedded GPS, which doesn't matter. You're going to use the CarPlay anyways to use the GPS. When I push that button here or put it in reverse, you can see there is a full 360 surround view camera system, which is standard on the SR. Unexpected in a class like this, which is nice. The graphics aren't wonderful, but at least, again, it is included and available. You can see here's the 2-level heated seats. You have single zone automatic climate control. There is a phone area here, but it doesn't include a wireless phone charging pad. My tester also has an interior lighting kit that allows you to turn on an ambient lighting there and change the color to like 6 or 7 different colors. There's an electronic parking brake there, an automatic brake hold feature. This controls the CVT with a very traditional shifter, no paddles on the wheel. And then you can see the cup holders here are kind of cool because they're adjustable. You can pull this out right here. You can see it goes in very deep, or you can leave that in and you can kind of flip that up and you can kind of access a deep cup holder here and a more shallow one over there, which is kind of nice. Padded armrest here, which is actually nice and soft padded. This is included on the SR or the SV trims and up. Open this up, you can see it's a rather shallow center console area, which would have been nice if they gave us a little bit more. The seats are, you can see, a little flat. They don't really hold you in place. They're also pretty hard. I don't find the seats to be comfortable, but at least they look a lot better this year with the two-tone look. Above me, you can see there's just standard incandescent lighting, no LED lighting, and the Nissan doesn't offer a sunroof on the kicks, which again would be great. You can see still a bunch of incandescent lighting. Looking at the glove box, you can see it's a bin style. It's relatively big. It's not damped or lined with felt, which is fine. This is what I expect in this segment. And in terms of driver assistance tech, auto emergency braking, I believe, is standard, but if you want adaptive cruise control, it is optional along with the lane departure alert. And my tester also has the blind spot monitoring, which again is included with this SR trim. So overall, it's not a bad interior. It just needs a little bit more space. And I also wish that Nissan would give us their newest head unit, but you kind of are reminded that this vehicle is built to a certain price point. Taking a look at the back seat of the kicks, you can see that two-tone interior carries over into the rear seat, which is nice. Materials are still hard touch plastic, but it is padded over there. Nissan says you get around 33.5 inches of legroom back here, which is pretty class competitive for the segment. It actually has a lot more space than it looks, and the door opens relatively wide, and it's actually not bad, at least from a glance. Now getting back here, you can see at 5'7", once I get back here and shut the door, there is actually a decent amount of space. The floor is nice and low. I have good foot space underneath the driver's seat. This floor here is not completely flat, but it's a narrow car, so fitting 3 across would be a pinch. You do have 2 USB ports over there. There's just 2 USB-As, no heated back seats or vents back here. I expected that. I didn't expect that. You can see there 1 map pocket, and there's also no armrest here. That would have been nice to have. Now, in terms of headroom, it's also not bad because it doesn't have a sunroof. So overall, the back seat in the Kicks is actually pretty decent for the segment. Now, underneath the hood of the refreshed Kicks, this segment is not known for offering high horsepower cars. However, the Kicks probably takes the cake as offering the least amount of power in the segment, which means it's also one of the slowest accelerating vehicles. Now, underneath the hood of this refreshed Kicks, what you essentially get is a 1.6 liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder that doesn't have direct injection. It just has port injection. It still continues to make 122 horsepower and 114 pound-feet of torque. That power figure is paltry, even by this class standards. I really wanted Nissan to up the power significantly for this refreshed Kicks. It all goes out through a single speed or a CVT transmission, just single choice. There's no manual transmission available, and all Kicks continue to be front-wheel drive. They do not offer all-wheel drive on the Kicks, which I think was a big mistake. There's also no electrified option. There's no turbo option, so that's something I wish Nissan would fix. Fuel economy is decent. It's rated at 31 in the city, 36 on the highway. Regular gas, of course, is the recommended fuel, and Kicks models are not recommended to tow, but thankfully, because they are so small, they weigh in at just under 2,800 pounds. So with no changes to the Kicks during this refresh, I basically anticipated this car to continue to be one of the slowest accelerating small crossovers that you can buy, because remember, we have a standard CVT, there's no manual available. We have a naturally aspirated 1.6 liter engine that has 122 horsepower and 114 pound-feet of torque. And we have a vehicle that still doesn't offer all-wheel drive and weighs in at around 2,800 pounds. So that's basically the recipe for something that's going to be very slow, very buzzy, and very much that's still the case, although I will give credit where it's due, because Nissan's CVT, their Xtronic CVT, which I believe now is in its 4th generation, is still a relatively good transmission, and it's great at just shuffling the power and putting it in the right gear. But a lack of all-wheel drive is really noticeable, even for a car that has like no power. I mean, if you guys live in snowy climates, you're going to really miss the fact that Nissan does not offer all-wheel drive. So I'm curious and confused as to why they decided not to offer it, especially with, you know, this big significant refresh. Now, just for shits and giggles, let's go ahead and test out the 0 to 60 of this vehicle. I'll put it into its sports setting for the transmission, and we'll just floor it from a stop here. Is it going to make it? 0 to 60 in 10.89 seconds, so 10.9 seconds. Makes this almost one of the slowest vehicles I've driven all year. And honestly, it feels slower than 10.9. That's actually not as hateful as I thought it was going to be. I mean, there was a time where this acceleration was acceptable, and now we have compact, subcompact vehicles that do, you know, way faster than that. So it shows that Nissan should have added more power to this vehicle. You know, I get it. It's a cheap, inexpensive car, but 10.9 seconds, 11 seconds is just really unacceptable in today's modern age. Now, I mentioned earlier the CVT in sport mode here. I just put my foot down. It adjusts the ratios very quickly. It also mimics shifts, and it actually does a pretty good job of, you know, putting the engine in the meter of the power band, you know, for whatever little power that it has to offer. It's surprisingly decent there. Now, when it comes to the handling, the Kicks has a semi-independent torsion beam rear suspension. The steering is quick, but very devoid of feel. The car actually has really quick transitions. The suspension is also very light. This car isn't sporty to drive, but it's also not horrible. It rides and drives how I'd expect an inexpensive subcompact car to drive, but this is supposed to be an SUV. And you know what? It has 7 inches of ground clearance. I do feel like I have that SUV seating position in this vehicle, which is nice. In terms of driver assistance, I can feel the steering wheel vibrating because this car does have their lane departure alert. It's got intelligent cruise control, which is standard on the SV trims and up. But if you're looking for Nissan's Pilot Assist, or I believe it's called Pro Pilot Assist, their higher end driver assistance tech, it's just not available on the Kicks at this price point. You can get the tires to spin out there when you turn, but just, oh my God, this car is so slow. It was a little confused there, the transmission, with trying to decide if it wanted to adjust the ratio or whatnot as we were going up this hill. But you feel lots of vibration back and through the steering wheel, through the pedals, through the seats, to the floorboards. It's just a very unpleasant experience. And I get it. You're not going to be pushing the engine that hard when you're driving this car normally. And when you are driving it normally, I'll take it out of sport mode. I mean, I imagine that's probably the hardest most people are going to push the engine in this car. It's still buzzy around 3,000 RPM. The buzz just comes back. There's no paddles on the wheel, thankfully, to have to deal with that. There is a low mode and a sport mode. And the visibility in the kicks is also good. I can see out of the front really easily. It's a small vehicle. It definitely feels small and slightly taller. And then these seats, these are the Primatex leatherette seats. They're hard. They're hard, and I took this car on a 2-hour trip, and they just were uncomfortable for me. So it reminded me constantly that I was in an inexpensive car. But at least you've got nice features. I mean, the Bose stereo system with the speakers and the headrest actually sounds decent. You've got standard Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. You've got intelligent cruise control, which works okay compared with the lane departure alert. Sight lines are easy. This car is good on gas. In my week's worth of testing, I averaged about 30 miles to the gallon. On the highway, it got about 33. So it could do a lot better if it had more power. I wasn't constantly pushing the accelerator pedal. Nissan should really stuff a turbo in this vehicle. It would be so much better and offer all-wheel drive. So yes, the Kicks is still one of the slowest small CUVs you can buy. It handles competently. It doesn't really stand out in any way. I mean, what it has going for it is, if you guys like the look of it on the outside, you like the standard equipment features list, you like the inexpensive price, it's certainly worth a look. But in terms of just the overall driving dynamics still, this car leaves plenty to be desired. And that's, you know, taking into account that the segment as a whole does not have very high standards when it comes to driving dynamics. So a few years ago, when I first tested out the all-new Nissan Kicks, I was rather unimpressed with this vehicle. I liked how the styling was a lot more unique than a Versa hatchback, and it was also an affordable vehicle. It still is an affordable vehicle. And thankfully, Nissan has made the car a little bit more enticing this year with freshened styling, some new tech features, additional standard equipment on the inside, which ups the value of this vehicle. And really, if you guys are okay with driving something that doesn't have all-wheel drive and something that's so bloody slow, at least in my opinion, it's super slow, then the Kicks is certainly worth a look, because this vehicle starts at just under 20 grand, like 19,600 for the base S, add about 2 grand to go up to the SV, and add about another $1,000 for the SR. So at $22,000, I'd happily recommend at least the SR trim. Now my tester here has a few options on it. The most expensive is the premium package that adds the Bose stereo, the Primatex interior, the heated front seats, and the heated steering wheel. I'd probably recommend that for $1,200. $500 for that appearance package, and $500 for the wheels. The appearance package, remember, adds the roof rail crossbars and that stupid chrome exhaust tip. All in, this one here is right around $26,270 with the destination charge. 26 grand is too expensive for a car that's really dreadfully slow, that doesn't offer all-wheel drive. But at $23,000, $22,000, this car certainly is appealing. But you know what's making this car even harder to justify is new entries like the Ford Maverick, which I just had a chance to drive, which start at the same starting price, and you can get a pretty decently equipped Maverick for about $25,000. So the same price as this vehicle, and the Ford truck gets better gas mileage. Or if you guys must have a crossover, I recommend also spending a little bit more for the Toyota Corolla Cross, the Subaru Crosstrek. Those vehicles to me just have slightly more appealing features, and they also offer the availability of all-wheel drive, and some of them even come standard with it. But with all that said, the Kicks is certainly not a bad choice. It just doesn't continue to stand out, at least in a good way for me. And really, for just a little bit more money, or for similar money, you can get something in the competition that I think you'll be much more satisfied with in the long run. But with all that said, I hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on the 2022 Nissan Kicks. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always, guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.